I'm at the etrailer. Today we're going to be talking about the Thule Roof Rack on top of our 2024 Jeep Wagoneer L. Now the one we have today is going to be the flush option. You can get this as an overhang option as well, but the flush option is just going to give you that more clean look, more of an OEM feel to it. So let's kind of take a closer look at it. So one of the things you do want to check to make sure this is going to work with your roof is just to make sure you have the right roof type. With the Wagoneer L, it should mainly be a flush rail option, but just in case you don't know if you have that, or let's say you have a different one, the way you can tell is, if you notice where our roof rack is sitting, there's this rail that is really laying on top of. That's going to be a flush rail option. Now, a naked roof option isn't going to have any type of rail like that at all, it's just going to be completely seamless or flat on top. And then if you have a raised rail option, you can actually get your hands underneath those rails. Now, if you're not sure which one is going to be the best for you, you can actually plug in your vehicle's information into our fit guide to find the right one for you. And now when there are different types of roof racks, it's just going to depend on what you're mainly trying to use this for. So if you're looking, like I said earlier, from that OEM finish, I think this is going to be a great option for you. It's going to be perfect if you need to throw any type of boxes, ski carriage, bike racks, anything like that you can't fit inside your vehicle. This is a great spot for it. Or anything extra long. So when you have those skis, putting them inside your vehicle isn't going to be ideal. So we can actually take a closer look at more of the features of this roof rack. This kit is going to come in 3 parts. So we're going to have the crossbar itself, we're going to have the tower, and then we're going to have the fit kit that makes it unique to this vehicle. So let's kind of start with the crossbars. So with these crossbars, they are going to be more fitted to this roof width. And we're going to have the front one going to be 44.5 inches. The back one's going to be 41 inches. And you'll notice a few things with this. First is going to be that shape. It's going to be thicker in the front, thinner in the back. That's going to help it be more aerodynamic, help to reduce that wind noise. Something else that's going to help reduce wind noise is going to be this weather strip at the very top of it. And this is designed so you can put your T-channel accessories. So let's say you have some type of clamp-on accessory and it's just not working very well because maybe something underneath your roof, or that clamp-on accessory you just don't like using. You'd rather just use the T-channel one. You can do that with this, and this weather strip's not only going to keep out any type of wind from creating noise, but it's going to keep out any debris and water from kind of clogging this up. Now, if I take off this end cap, that's kind of what gives us this more seamless design. You can tell we have a lot of hardware underneath here. A lot of things going on, and this is what kind of makes this whole system work. While it looks a little bit complicated, it's actually pretty easy to use once you put it together. But your tower is what's kind of holding this onto your fit kit, being that more middleman. And this one is just kind of giving us that seamless look and also hiding away some of the parts for our fit kit. The way this fit kit is working is we're going to have 2 of these clamps that grab on to this bracket that's connected to your flush rail. And this is actually doing a really good job. Now if you look underneath this fit kit, that rubber section here, you might be able to just see a little bit of daylight, really not much at all though. And as far as fit kits go, or how roof racks fit on top of your roof, this one's doing a really good job. This is very seamless and I do like the look of this. But now let's get a few measurements just to see how this is sitting up here. So the first measurement I want to get is going to be the distance underneath our crossbar to see what we're dealing with. And on this raised section here, that's going to be just a little bit under 3.5 inches, which is pretty good. That's going to give you plenty of room in most cases. Now that is something to consider if you have some type of sunroof or moonroof on top of your roof. And if that expands any at all, it might kind of block or get in the way of some of your clamps. If you don't have anything on here at the moment, this is more than enough room. The roof we have today actually doesn't have a sunroof, so we really can't show that off. But that actually leads me into my next thing, and that's going to be the total length of this that adds to your roof. And typically you could just go from the roof itself, but since this is sitting on our rails, I'll go from that instead. And this is going to add, at the very most, 4 inches to your roof, which isn't pretty bad at all. That's pretty standard for most roof racks. I think this is just going to be a good fit for this roof. It's not extending too high, but it's also not too low where it's going to interfere with things on top of your roof. I also will mention we do have a third point where we can put a crossbar back here, so you have two options. You could either keep your crossbars up front, or you could shift them backwards so you'll be using more of the back half of your vehicle. Or you could get a third crossbar and put it back here. And if you did do that, I'd recommend a 41-inch crossbar. I will say though, you just need to watch out if you are trying to maximize all this, if you're trying to use this for more of a platform style on top of your roof, where you want to put a rooftop tent up here, it'll be great for that, but still just make sure you know what your roof is rated for, because the crossbars themselves are rated pretty highly. In my opinion, I think this is a solid choice if you're looking for more of that clean aesthetic to the top of your roof. Now, if you're someone who's wanting to really maximize what you can put up here, take up all that real estate that you can, then I'd actually recommend the ones with the overhang. Because while these do have that nicer aesthetic to them, the overhang is just going to give you more real estate to work with. And if you have anything like those ski carriers or bike racks, it's just going to make it a little bit more manageable to grab. I will say though, with the Wagoneer L, we do have these running boards on the side. So this actually kind of gives you an edge. So when you are grabbing those items, it makes it a little bit easier. Or even if I have to step inside my vehicle, I'm even a step closer. So this right here isn't too bad, but at the end of the day, I'm more of a fan of the ones with overhang just because, again, they are going to give you more space to work with. But if you like that cleaner aesthetic more, I think this is great too. Now, as far as how it installs, it's actually going to be pretty straightforward. But if you do need a hand with it, just stay tuned. We'll walk you through the process. To start off the installation, I like to lay out all my parts. So furthest away from me, we're going to have our crossbar, and we're going to have the weather stripping that comes with it. Now you're going to have two of these, and they're going to be two different lengths. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But next to that, we're going to have our towers and the end caps that go along with them. And then we're going to have all the hardware to actually install this on top of our roof. This is going to be our fit kit here. You'll also have some included tools. You're going to have this torque device right here. You can tighten down your accessories and items. And this additional Allen key. What I recommend grabbing is going to be some type of trim tool, so you remove some tabs, and a tape measure so you can make sure everything's even. Now the reason why I only have one of them on here is because I have the other one installed on my roof at the moment. And when you do this, the crossbar on the front of your vehicle is going to be the longer one, and the crossbar on the back of your vehicle is going to be the shorter one. But they are going to install the exact same way. Now where I like to begin is going to be on top of your roof. We're just going to get everything kind of prepped. So to do that, I'm going to grab that trim tool, and we're going to find we have these little tabs. There's going to be two per spot. And right now, I'm in the center set. There's going to be one closer to the back end of your vehicle, one closer to the front end of your vehicle. And you can use whichever ones you want to go with. But the important thing to keep in mind is you want them to be relatively close, or you want to make sure they're going to fit with your gear. If you're hauling anything that's extra long, you might want to go with the two widest spots. But in most cases, you're going to want to go with two right next to one another. And that's what I would recommend doing. And to remove these tabs, I'm just use that trim tool, pry underneath this tab. If you have a new vehicle, this will be pretty easy. Now, if yours is a little bit older, then you might be fighting with this a little bit, because sometimes if there's a lot of dirt and grime on it, it can be kind of a pain to get out. And with those removed, I'm going to grab my hardware. The hardware that I'm going to be grabbing is going to be two of those smaller bolts. And we're going to be grabbing this bracket. Now this bracket is going to look a lot different from the other type of clamps in your kit. And this one's going to have two holes right here, and this third larger one in the center. We're going to be using those two holes to put our bolts through. And those tabs that I just removed are going to be aligned with those two holes. You want to make sure that the lipped end, the side that hangs over, is hanging over your side rails or your flush rails. And once you've done that, then we're just going to hand tighten these into place. Once you get this all the way tightened down, I have a little Allen key with me. That's going to be the one that has a little star bit into it and a little hole in the center for your security bolts. Now you can use this to tighten down the rest of the way. And once you have this all the way down, you can do the same process on the other side. We're going to move over to prepping our crossbar. The way we're going to do this is kind of make sure everything's in the right orientation. So right now I'm just going to flip this around for me to make it a little bit simpler. Just like that. You'll notice I have the thicker side closest to me and the thinner side behind us. The thicker side is going to be the front side of this. You also notice we do have this little square hole. This is going to be on either side. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on when we're installing our towers, but I just want to make note of it now. And we can actually start installing this weather strip. Now this is originally going to come together in most cases. Typically you'll just pull on this and it'll kind of separate. Once you get it separated, then all you have to do is line this up with the seams. Notice how these arrows are facing forward. We want to make sure that's facing the front of our crossbar. This little tab here is going to go into this little channel. You're just going to press it into place. You just do that the rest of the way down, making sure you get a good seal. With that on, if you have any excess, you can come by with an X-Acto knife and trim that off. Typically you won't have too much though. And then with the other side, it's that same process, only you just need to make sure that that little tab again here, this is going to line up with this opening right here. We're just going to be pressing it into place, making sure it's seated all the way down, all the way across. Very, very similar process like we did on the front side. The way our tower is going to go in place, you notice this section right here. This is going to kind of match the shape of our tower here. So we have a thicker side and a thinner side. Just match it up with the thinner and thicker side over here. And our goal here is to line up this little tab here. You'll notice it has this little metal block on it. It's going to have a little bit of flex to it too. I can actually press down on it. You want to make sure it's kind of far back here. If this little nut here is further down and it's not allowing you to do that, you might need to loosen this up some. You just need to loosen up this bolt right here. But in most cases, you should be fine with it straight out of the package like this. And what we're going to do is just push this into place. Then you're going to find you can't push it anymore. What you're going to have to do is apply pressure to the top of this and push at the same time. I actually find it's easier to have it pushed out a little bit more like this. And pushing like that. You notice it just kind of barely caught underneath there. And you just push more until it's sitting like this. Once you push it in all the way, that little tiny hole that I showed you inside of this crossbar, that block is now caught in there. So when I try to pull this out, it won't come out all the way because it's seating into place. And then you can just repeat this on the other side. Next up, we can start getting our clamps ready to go. And what I'll do like about the clamp system is each one of these is going to be marked. So this one's going to have an A marking on it, and this one's going to have a B marking on it, and this third one is going to have a C marking on it. And that's going to mark the order in which you put them on. So I'm going to put A on first. Now I'll flip this around so it's a little bit easier for you to see. The way this go on is you're going to have these two little tabs. These are just going to sit right on top here. And that bolt in the center is going to go through. Then I'm going to flip this around, give you a little more visuals on this. We're going to have these little tabs here, or these openings, and that's going to pretty much just match up with the tabs that we have on our rubber base on piece B. And we're just going to put that into place. Just like that. This is going to grab on. Now typically you'd put part C on now. And the way part C is going to go into place is it's just going to grab on to the very end and go on top of your vehicle. Now I actually like to leave this off because sometimes this can be a little loose, sometimes it might fall off, or it might scratch up your vehicle. So I actually like to put that on after I already have this on top of my vehicle. So now I'm just going to repeat this process on the other side. This is going to have a lot of adjustment to it, so we're just going to roughly place it up here to begin with. Again, we want to make sure we have the thicker side facing forward and the thinner side facing behind us. I'm just going to try to line this up to those little brackets we have on top of our roof. And it's not going to fit up there perfectly, but once we have it just roughly in place, we can adjust it afterwards. To get that perfect fit, we're going to be doing two things. The first thing we're going to be doing is properly getting this seated into place. So this rubber base is going to be on here all the way. And we're going to have bracket A. It's going to have this little tab on the very bottom here. Notice how it has that lip. There's going to be an opening on the back side of this bracket that's going to seat into place with. So I'm just going to line that up. Get a better fit there. And there you go. That's a good fit. This is properly seated on here all the way. Next thing we're going to do is look on the very top of our crossbar. You're going to notice there's a bunch of letters right here. We want to make sure this letter setting is the same on either side or close to being the same on either side. So what I'm going to do is, if I have it on setting L here, then I want to match it to the L on the other side. If I need to adjust it, all I'm going to do is push or pull this away from me until it's even. What I'm going to do now is grab our clamp C, put it at the very end here, and try to line it up with that bolt. With that lined up, I'm going to grab these more cylinder nuts. One side's going to be fitted for an Allen key. The other side's going to be threaded. I'm going to grab that threaded side and just hand tighten it into place. We don't want to fully tighten this down quite yet. Just enough to have some resistance. Because if you tighten one side too much or all the way down, typically you're going to get an uneven fit. So once we get this one hand tightened with a little bit of resistance, then we're going to repeat this on the other side. And then we're going to come back with our torque tool. How the torque tool is going to work is you just stick it in here, tighten it down some. I've already gone back and forth a couple of times, so we're almost there. And here pretty soon you're going to start to hear this click. Just like that. That's letting us know this is all the way tightened down to the specs recommended. And once we get here, then we can start doing that on the other side and then put the end caps into place. And when you put in this end cap back into place, I already have mine on the other side. You just grab that flathead screwdriver if you still have the plastic lock cores in here. It'll seat into place. Now if you have the metal ones, you can actually just straight those out and use your key to lock it into place. But from here, I'm just going to give this a good shake test. Make sure this feels pretty sturdy. It's not going to come off our roof. And this is feeling pretty good. And then we can take it out for a ride. And that was just a look at the Thule Roof Rack on top of our 2024 Jeep Wagoneer L. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.